How do you get an I-601A hardship waiver approved? What kind of hardships work, what don't, and what are the top 5 biggest mistakes? We're going to discuss all of that in this video, so stay tuned. The I-601A hardship waiver is a great solution for you if you've entered the United States without a visa. That's known as entering without inspection, and you're married to a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, or you have a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident parent. Normally, without this I-601A waiver, there are other options which you can check out some of our videos, but the options are limited. You could look at parole in place, you could look at a U visa. Those are some other options as well. What we're going to talk about is the I-601A waiver. First of all, look at what is working, and then we're going to talk about the mistakes, the top 5 that I see, and go into detail about what is extreme hardship. First of all, we're going to talk about a case study. In this case, our client fled from South America. They entered the United States without a visa. They came in the early 2000s, and then they met their U.S. citizen spouse, fell in love, and got married. The first thing that we argued was mental health hardship. Mental health hardship is a form of extreme hardship, and in this case, our client had eating disorder. Now, the eating disorder wasn't about just the fact that they didn't want to eat in the proper way. It was a psychological condition, and we were able to make this psychological connection to the eating disorder, showing that this was a coping mechanism for them, and that was how the eating disorder manifested itself. In this, we argued that both relocating to the home country, the foreign country, or remaining in the U.S. without the spouse would result in extreme emotional and related physical hardship. Not only that, but the spouse receives health care through Covered California. So we also talked about that as well, how she would lose that coverage if she had to leave. In this case, we were also able to argue favorable exercise of discretion as well, because in this situation, what we were able to argue is that she does a lot of voluntary work. So because of that volunteer work, that was another argument that we were able to make that would stack upon the mental health hardship, the eating disorder, the medical coverage, and we were able to use all of that. We do that in a detailed legal brief. We don't just write a statement. In that legal brief, we made that argument that the case should be approved. And we were able to get it approved. How does the processing of an exceptional hardship waiver work? So first we file the I-130 petition. Once that gets approved, then it gets forwarded to the National Visa Center. You pay the fee bills. Then you submit the I-601A waiver. Once that is actually approved, it goes to the National Visa Center. And in that National Visa Center processing, after that's completed, it actually is forwarded to the embassy, and you have your final interview at your home country's embassy. You saw what worked here. We gave you an outline of what worked. It's also important to know what doesn't work. What are the top reasons that a case gets denied? An application for I-601A waiver can be denied for a variety of reasons, and that can include lack of evidence of qualifying relatives or hardship, a criminal background, or an incomplete or defective application. Here are the 5 reasons that I see that an I-601A waiver could be denied. Reason number 1, this is the basics, but it still happens. Inadequate documentation actually showing your relationship to your qualifying relative. So if you're married to your spouse, having a marriage certificate. If your qualifying relative is a parent, birth certificate, for example. This is some example of evidence that could be provided. It's not all inclusive, but these are some examples, and failing to provide that could result in a denial. Reason number 2, lack of evidence of hardship. Now, this is extremely important. This is basically the whole basis of your I-601A application. You must prove that your spouse or parent would suffer extreme hardship, and this was demonstrated in that case study. You saw some examples of what those extreme hardships could be. There could be a variety of factors. So in that case study, it was specific to mental health, it was specific to financial, but we also like to talk about career hardship. We also like to talk about actual health hardship. What are the country conditions? And we like to put in as many hardships that are applicable to you as possible. Reason number 3, your criminal background. Criminal convictions, particularly those involving moral turpitude or drug offenses, can be a major obstacle to obtaining a waiver. The I-601A waiver is designed to overcome unlawful presence. It's not designed to overcome criminal issues. That being said, minor crimes such as DOIs, it's still possible to get an I-601A waiver depending upon what the crime is, but you have to be extremely careful. It needs to be something that doesn't trigger another ground of inadmissibility, and you really need to consult an immigration lawyer if you have any type of crime before you file for I-601A waiver, because again, it's not designed to overcome these crimes. Reason number 4, an incomplete or defective application. In this situation, you don't know what you don't know. You may not even know that it's incomplete or defective. But if you have an incomplete or defective application, that can result into delays or, worst case, a denial. You must provide all the required forms, documents, and follow the proper filing procedure. And you may need copies of birth certificates, marriage certificates, passport pages, photographs of you and your qualifying relatives, affidavits, and other supporting documents. Every case is unique. And when you work with us, we will advise you on the appropriate documentation. That's a big part of the case, is the documents and the argument that we make go hand in hand. We base your case off of the documents that are provided. So we work with you to develop a strategy and to look at what documents you have to present the best case possible. When working on the I-601A waiver, what an experienced immigration attorney can do is they can review the details of your specific situation, identify the hardships, and based off of that, put together a compelling strategy for your case. Now you might be asking, all right, well that's great, but I still don't understand what the heck is extreme hardship. Well, don't feel bad that you don't know what extreme hardship is. The reason you shouldn't feel bad is because the law doesn't even clearly define what extreme hardship is. Every application is evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Now, here are some situations that could qualify. Your qualifying relative has a serious medical condition and requires care not available in your home country. Your qualifying relative depends upon you financially. Your qualifying relative has educational or career opportunities that would be completely disrupted if they had to leave the United States. Your qualifying relative has strong family and social ties that would be disrupted if they had to leave the US. Now, these are not the only possibilities. The cumulative effect of multiple hardships strengthens your claim, and an immigration lawyer has the ability to improve your chances because they can present specific, detailed examples of hardship caused by your inadmissibility. A lot of times we find that we're able to discover things that may not be apparent to you because you may not consider them to be hardships, but when we review your case, we're able to make that claim. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Take a look at our other case studies so you can learn more about what's working. Watch our other videos on that, and share this with a friend because they could need this help as well. By watching this video, you're bettering yourself, and by bettering yourself, you're bettering your family. By bettering your family, you're bettering the world. Thank you. Bye for now.